All right, what's up, guys? It's currently pre-market right now. Market's about to open, so I'm just gonna do a quick daily bias and go over my bias coming into the market so I can hold myself accountable. Quick market analysis. Of course, I'm just gonna do just. Of course, at the moment, I'm gonna have to be bullish just because, we, like, I was expecting us to have a bullish move last night. I didn't expect that all this liquidity would get taken. This was my original draw on liquidity. I wasn't too sure that all of it would get taken last night when I was looking, but yeah, at the moment, like, we're just bullish towards these highs. The only issue is because we've made such a large run on price, we'd have to see like what kind of move market open gives us, because we could just try to rebalance that because we made such like a decent overnight move. But yeah, on the 4 hour bullish, we have these unfilled 4 hour gaps that, from where we're at, that'd be like a 100, 200 point dump. Yeah, literally 200 points on the dot. So I really wouldn't want to look for those to get targeted. But if we are to be bullish, I don't want to see data lows get taken and then we come down, sweep this, and get a move back higher after taking out data lows. Honestly, data lows might be the nearest draw on liquidity if we are to take them out. I'd have to see how these gaps are respected because we have an unfilled 15 minute here as well. Unfilled 15 minute. That has to be like a respected, yeah. Unfilled 15 minute. Nice order block right here, resting right above the unfilled 15 minute. So this is an area that price will likely retrace to if we are to be bullish. Now, if we were to be bullish, we get a reaction off of this, and then we start to sweep higher. That's what I'd like to see. Yeah, we're just respecting bullish price action at the moment, but as you can see, market just opened and we're getting that move lower, which is probably what's gonna happen today. Is a lot of probably gonna happen at the beginning is just a move lower. Then if we can get a rebalance towards those highs, up to these highs and these highs, nearing all-time highs. Next week would definitely be at all-time highs. What is ES looking like? ES is always normally way more bullish when it comes towards all-time highs. So yeah, ES is already at all-time highs. ES normally does that these past couple weeks. So that is a large bearish SMT that's in play. So if we do get a run higher, if we do start to get a run higher and then start making a move lower, then I will look for shorts just because ES is already at all-time highs and that is a large bearish SMT in play currently. And good draws on liquidity are these lows here at 8:30. So right now my bias is higher time frame. It's bullish, of course, just because we're at all-time highs. But because ES made this SMT, shorts wouldn't be impossible because all-time highs SMT is pretty significant. So shorts wouldn't be the worst if we did get a continuation short after the large overnight run and then we rebalance it back to data lows. So market opens and we already reswept these lows here, reswept these highs I'm at. So yeah, shorts maybe, but I'd have to get a setup. Maybe if we inverse this 5 minute gap, but we'll be back. Just at the moment, my bias is higher time frame bullish. It's just that SMT at the highs, which isn't too important. SMTs normally don't hold a lot of times, but if we do respect these gaps, like this 5 minute gap, if we do start respecting it, then of course longs will be the bias. But that's currently what I'm looking like. We'll be back after market after I take my trade. If I do take a trade, if I don't, then this is just going in the drafts. But that's pretty much it. We'll be back. All right, so we're back. I'm gonna be going over the trades that I took today. It's only 10:31, so it's only been an hour since I paused this, but I'm gonna be going over the trades that I took today, what I did right, what I did wrong, and also talk about my psychology during this process. So let's just pull up the trades from today. I gotta put this position tool back up. So this position tool is all the way up here. My entry was off this inverse. It was like a 1 to 2R. 1 to 2R. 1 to 2R trade right there. Alright, so as I said before, my bias was high-key bullish coming into today, just because we had these all-time highs resting here, and we had this large bullish move that occurred overnight. The only issue with that is that ES had already taken these highs. As you can see right here. This is the S&P. So ES already took out these highs that I would be targeting. So ES was at all-time highs when NQ was still 200 points away from that. So my bias was bullish, just because higher highs, higher lows, you have to trade with the trend, and catching reversals isn't the most profitable way to trade. So of course this candle wasn't here yet, so if all you're looking at is this chart, you're gonna be bullish. And so that was my bias for the day. But another part of my bias, as I said before, is that we had these data lows here, and you guys may know or may not know that data lows are like a big draw on liquidity. Well, I know that because I'm only going to be the one viewing this video. But so data lows are a big draw on liquidity, and we had them resting here from this 8:30 news. It was these newses that came out: the average hourly earnings, the non-farm, NFP, and then unemployment rate. So these were the data lows that were made at 8:30, which is a high draw on liquidity. So the first trade I took, let's just go over the first trade I took, was still my bullish bias, just because data lows are a draw on liquidity, but that doesn't mean we're gonna hit them. Of course, that's not what it means. So for the first trade that I took, we have these data lows here. We have these data lows. No, the first trade that I took, I apologize. The first trade that I took was because market opens, we make our manipulation down. We're respecting this 15-minute imbalance, and we kind of waked into this 15-minute imbalance, which formed an SMT here, because ES at this time period had not yet touched. As you can see, ES hadn't yet taken it out. So I was bullish with that SMT in mind. With this SMT right here at these lows, you see these lows right here on both charts. This low, well, no, it was actually these lows right here. These lows are the SMT with these lows, yeah. These lows right there are the SMT on the 1-minute chart. It's easier to see. That's where ES was. That's where MNQ was. Not the best SMT, but it was inside of a 1-minute imbalance, and we also had an order block right here. So this first trade that I took wasn't a bad setup at all. We have an order block right here. A bearish order block right there, changing the state of delivery, where we tap into it, react off of it. We have an SMT at these lows. NQ is trading lower while ES is not. And then we also get a fair value gap right here that barely gets touched by those candles. And we're already inside of an imbalance as well around this time. We're inside of this hourly. If I turn off we're inside this hourly imbalance here. So of course, being inside of this hourly imbalance, knowing that we're inside this hourly imbalance, that's where I took this first trade off of. And then on top of that, we had an inverse fair value gap inside of this as well, a 5-minute inverse. We had a bearish inverse fair value gap right here. So I took this trade about right there off of the inverse of this fair value gap, got into profit a little bit, targeting these highs here, not even all-time highs, just targeting these highs right here. Now this trade ends up going, end up getting a decent size 50-point candle right here that just stops us out, because my stops were here. It was like a 1 to 2, maybe a little bit more than that. Yeah, like a 1 to 2.3. This is where my stops were. This trade completely takes me out, and I wasn't even the biggest fan of this trade in all honesty, but it was a textbook setup, and if it did play out, I would have been upset that I didn't take it. So it wasn't a bad loss. It was just a textbook setup. You're gonna lose, you're gonna win some. But after this trade plays out and I get stopped out, I'm considering getting off the charts, whether I'm going to stay on or not. I mean, it's still early. It's around 9:40, 9:53 when I get stopped out. And then, so erasing this trade and I got stopped out, what happens is we start trading lower. We start trading lower, and I see that we start trading lower, and that this inverse, because this was a 5-minute inverse, right? So I will count this as a 5-minute inverse, but we didn't get any displacement off of that 5-minute inverse and started going down. So I'm just going to count that as somewhat of a respected 5-minute fair value gap, because it got inverse, but we didn't get any nice reaction off of that inverse. So what does happen is we get a displacement lower and also form an SMT. What is this SMT form? Right here. So off of that displacement lower, we formed an SMT on ES again. So now we have a higher time frame. We have a higher time frame daily SMT that we already know about. Where is that? Right here. We form a higher time frame daily SMT. Boom. Low right here. Higher time frame daily SMT. ES is higher and Q is lower. Then what also happens is we form a lower time frame, adding even more bearish bias because we resweep these highs on ES. The market opens here on ES. It's that red line that I marked out. Boom, SMT again. And then what happens off the SMT is then we get a nice displacement from that. We get a respected fair value gap as well. We get a nice displacement, respected bearish fair value gap here. Let me just remove this inverse. All right, remove this, clear some of this mess up. So we get a respected bearish fair value gap right here. Boom. All right, we get some displacement off of that, reaction off of that. Then what happens again? We move up, trade back into this order block here, trade back into this order block here, get another displacement move down. Boom, not taking out these lows. Then what happens? Another respected fair value gap. I see this. I see that where we close on this fair value gap, I enter again there. Now, could my stops have been larger like this, like maybe like targeting a 1-to-1? Yes, they could have. They definitely could have happened. Now, were my stops right above right here targeting a 1-to-2? Yes. Why were my stops this low? Well, the main reason that my stops were this low was because I honestly wouldn't have wanted, if we were to confirm bearish bias and trade lower to these data lows that we have marked out here, because we already swept out these lows. I didn't want if we traded higher again to take out this high, that would have basically invalidated my trade, because at the time that I took this trade, we also had a bullish SMT right here. So at the time where I took this trade, as you can see, this is from these lows, the ones that the ones that made the original bullish SMT. It was still being respected because NQ was way lower. ES was all the way down here. Yeah, ES was down here. Yeah, my entry, ES had already fully swept these lows and was back inside of this fair value gap. So that's why I kept my stops so tight, is because if this was to be a bearish move and I got stopped out, if this was to be a bullish move, if this was going to be a bullish move reacting off of this SMT that I have marked out here, I would have, I feel like my stop should have been tighter, because we could have definitely respected this SMT, respected this 15-minute fair value gap that we were in, and then just traded higher. So because we had data lows and that was my drawn liquidity, That was my main reasoning for taking this trade lower, because data lows was my draw on liquidity. But this could have very easily been another bullish move. So, of course, at the end of the day, it's just lines on a chart. I'm trading my strategy. I have to trade my strategy as discretionary and smart as possible. With me doing that, I had to lower my stops. Risk less, just in case this move did act against me. Now, what ends up happening? I enter here. I move my stops to break even. Around right here, this is where I move my stops to break even to. We never ended up hitting that break even point, and we just ended up flushing the data lows, and we even flushed even more. I had this 4-hour fair value gap marked out as a draw on liquidity. Now, of course, in hindsight, I could have left the runner, but honestly, data lows was draw on liquidity enough, and we low-key had a choppy morning. And data lows was draw on liquidity enough for me. Like, nobody expects us to. I got an 80-point move, like a full 82-point move. Nobody expects us to make a full 200-point move from their entry. Like, of course, if I would have saw that 200-point move happening, I would have held, but that's fine. I got my piece of the pie. 1K on the day for all the accounts. I fixed what was going wrong with my trading. I actually worked on myself. I did what I told myself I was going to do, because this trade, it was a little bit hectic, being that I had already took a loss earlier, a $500 loss. Around this point in the trade, I'd say, around this point right here, I was in profit about 500, and I was considering just closing my trade. But then I thought to myself, what would the most disciplined and profitable version of me do, and how would he manage this trade? And then I managed it that way. I just walked away from my computer, let it hit my take profit, came back with a positive take profit, and I was happy. And I was happy with that. Now, if I was at this chart looking at this trade, I could have gotten greedy. I could have said, okay, maybe we might make a move lower. I might try to try to make a $2,000 day. No, none of that's necessary. All of that is just supplemental things. I did everything the way that I was supposed to. I got my first full winning day. I'm just kind of, honestly, I'm proud of myself for managing my trade the way that I did. This is showing some growth in me. I can't remember the last time I caught an 80-point move. Not saying that's the goal, but the last time I caught a large move like that, last time I put my full foot forward and did everything the right way that I was supposed to, and I just held my trade until my take profit got hit. And I treated this funded account like it was an eval, because normally before I was full porting trades, just trying to make a quick dollar. I got a payout doing that, then I blew my account doing that. So now I'm trading it the right way, the right size, doing everything the proper way, and I'm gonna be a profitable trader. And I'm on this, during the course of this next month, I'm gonna be documenting my journey of me getting the profitability, and I'm gonna have a good month. I'm gonna learn from all of my mistakes. 2 days back to back, I took a loss and I took a win, following my 2 trades a day, not over trading, not over leveraging. I tried to over leverage today, and I actually have it here. I actually did try over leveraging today as well. I tried over leveraging, but I have a lockout on my sizing, so I can't go in with more than a mini, because I did try to over leveraging, try to squeeze this trade into like a $2,000 to $3,000 trade, which is completely unnecessary and doesn't follow my strategy. But yeah, I did try over leveraging. That wasn't a part of what I should have been doing today. And yeah, I just had a profitable day, a good day, a day to learn from my mistakes, a day that shows that you can really turn around a week, a happy way to end off this week and start off my weekend. And I know that losses are a part of it. I know that I trade a strategy that has to take losses, whether the win rate's 10%, whether the win rate's 80%, there's still losses you're going to have to take. And I took my losses, I learned, and I took my wins, and I learned. So today was a good way to end off the week. To future me, you're going to appreciate this, because this is the first time I actually held a trade, held it down, walked away, let the trade hit, it just went on, accepted the fate. That's how you're supposed to trade. It's just trade, accepting the fate while you're in the trade, nothing emotional, nothing like that, and just continuously grow. So we'll be back with our next video, probably next week, or I might record something tomorrow, just something psychological. But yeah, so profitable week. coming off of a $500 loss this week definitely got to me a little bit mentally, but profitable week. I don't really care about this whole move down here and how I could have caught the full move. There's no reason for me to be targeting 300 points. Like, even this 80-point move to me a little bit was a stretch. So yeah, we moved this much. If anybody did catch this, I'm happy for you, bro. But follow your strategy. Got my low hanging fruit. Got my W on the day, and that's all I gotta say. Let's continue to grow, and see you guys on the next one.